again. It is me, Amy the Baker, and my little Bubba, back for another video. Outfit of the day! That Mickey drip with the Tommy Hilfiger socks. Mickey drip, Mickey drip, Mickey drip. Ooh. He's being fussy, so we're gonna wear him when we get the first step of this bread done. This bread has, I wanna say like 3 stages, but it might be 4.
Okay, stage 1 is to mix it. That's kind of 2 stages. As we get the yeast going, but we'll call it one stage to mix it. And then, dude, fold it in on itself, pour it onto the pan, let it rise, spread it out, let it rise again, and then bake it. So kind of 4 steps. Hey.
Oh, I need olive oil. Get locked in. Your mommy is stinky. This is one of my favorite breads to do because it's so low maintenance, as long as you have a mixer. If you don't have a mixer, I don't recommend trying this unless you want to get a workout. The nice thing about this recipe, even if you don't have a mixer, is it's pretty forgiving because it's meant to be light and airy. So if you have some clumps, it's not the end of the world. It's not even 8 in the morning yet, but I'm starting this now because we're going to family dinner. The water in this recipe is broken into 2 sections. One we're gonna mix with flour, and then the other with yeast. 625 in the bowl, and 125 in the separate bowl. Still clean, right, Bubba? Sorry I'm all greasy and mildly disheveled. The original recipe is bread flour. I just use all-pea and it turns out all-pea, all-purpose. Sorry, I transitioned between calling it all-purpose and AP flour. Your head is big, 100 grams short. Well, 80, 70. I actually went out last night for the first time since he was born, really. I went to a local production. They did a Star Trek spoof. It was pretty funny. Before I was pregnant, I had helped out with a couple of the plays. So I was in one, and then I did a lot of volunteering, helping with the set. It was a Christmas play, and we had this enchanted bookshop, so we had to make all these cardboard books and like build shelves and everything, and it was really, really fun. But I helped out a lot on the set and just in general with some of the behind the scenes stuff, and so one of the main guys recruited me to help him direct. First I was just assistant directing, but then I just got so involved that he promoted me. I was now one of his elite employees as assistant director, or co-director? Whatever. Anyways, flour and water in here. You're gonna mix it with the paddle until it comes together. Just until it comes together. You want it to be clumpy. And then we're just gonna wrap that and let it rest. Because we want that gluten to get nice and rested while our yeast blooms. I don't want to pull out the big bag of sugar, so I'm just going to use this. 15 grams of sugar. This is a family heirloom. It was my grandma's. She'd literally just sit there, talking away, pouring sugar into her coffee. And then when we were kids, we'd always be like, when's grandma going? So we could fight over the little coffee syrup in the bottom of her cup. It's 7 grams of yeast. I did 11. It'll rise faster than I anticipated, but that's fine. Give it a little stir. The original recipe is fresh yeast. Dry active yeast is 3 times as powerful. So the original recipe had 21. Divide that by 3 is 7. Bam. We're gonna need 20 grams. It was nice to get out and be an adult and see other adults and not be just stuck in this baby bubble. I love you, Bubba. But it is nice to get out and support the local arts. I'm a big advocate for supporting everything local that you can, whether that's going to farmers markets or local businesses or local arts. Hi! And that's why I was really honored to be a part of the theater society that we have here before I got pregnant. And I'll definitely go back once he's a little bit bigger, but for right now, I just feel bad asking my mom to watch him. I know this is her grandson, she loves him, she wants to help, she wants to be there, and I'm so grateful for that, but at the same time, she did run her daycare when I was a kid, and she had a very large hand in raising her own brothers, but she's done her time watching kids, right? So I don't want to ever impose. We're just gonna wait until this is nice and frothy. It'll take about 10 minutes, so I'm not gonna sit on camera and talk for 10 minutes. We will be back, or maybe just me, in a very short while. And we're back! As you can see, the yeast is nice and frothy. And then we're just gonna take this. Here, I'll show you close up. Wow. We're gonna scrape it off the paddle, and we're gonna scrape it off the sides of the bowl as well. He was up at 6 in the morning. I was up late because of the play, so I'm tired today. And then you want to take your paddle and you just want to break up that dough ball a little bit, or else it'll be a big old mess when you're trying to mix it. Start on low or it will make a mess. I knew that. Okay, it's looking pretty incorporated, enough that it won't make a mess. So we're gonna, ooh, that's a bit too high. And then we're gonna add the salt in a little bit at a time. You don't wanna add the salt in until it's mixed, because the salt, it's a yeast inhibitor. So if you mix it in too early, it's gonna kill a lot of that yeast. And then we're just gonna mix that until there's no big chunks and turning it up. But if you turn it up, you gotta watch it. It's gonna look lumpy. It is a very moist dough, which is great because it makes it a very moist and tender final product. Don't get sketched out. Now, you might be wondering, Amy, focaccia is an olive oil bread. Where's the olive oil? That's where we're gonna incorporate it into the bowl. So you're gonna coat the bottom of the bowl generously with olive oil. About 50 grams if you wanna weigh it. I'm too lazy to do that. I just eyeball it. And then we're gonna just scrape that all in, cover it and rest it until it's doubled in size. The timing of that will depend on how warm it is in wherever you're making. Are you stuck? Are you stuck with Mama? She's almost done, and then we'll go have a nap, okay, honey? Wow, your big head. I was looking at pictures of the first time I had him in this carrier, and he was so tiny. That's it, Bubba. If you keep growing, you're gonna have to start contributing. We're in a recession.
Mama and Leon. Mama and Leon. We love to laugh. We love to play. That's fun with Mama and Leon.
Okay, I'm just gonna wrap this with saran wrap, and you can top with a tea towel as well. I am going to do that, but probably off camera because I gotta get this little guy going. It'll take, I don't know, an hour or two. I forgot I don't even need the dough hook. All paddle attachment. Okay, I'll be back when the dough is doubled. I'm back. It is more than doubled. I went and put him down for his nap and laid with him. It has been close to 2 hours now. That actually looks great. That's gonna be really nice. Ah! I'm trying to be quick because Bubba's just down on the floor. I usually put parchment on the bottom because it just makes it easier to take out. That was probably too much to cut off. I'm just gonna use some pan to stick down the parchment. Voila. Put some olive oil down. Spread the olive oil on the bottom out with our hands, making sure to get some on the side. Oh no! Ooh. Get that goodness in there. I'm just going around with a scraper and putting all the dough in the middle. It collapsed basically by half. Turn that out. Oops. Ah. And then for this part, I'm gonna spread out that olive oil, and you wanna make sure your hands are nice and slick. And then we're just gonna lift and fold, flip it around, lift and fold, and then lift and fold, tuck it underneath, and one more lift and fold down like this. And that's just gonna help work that gluten a little bit more. Cover this up and let it sit for 20 minutes to half an hour, 45 minutes at the longest. Again, depending on how moist your environment is. But we just want it basically doubled, and then we're gonna spread it out onto the pan. I'm gonna go wash my hands, and I'll be back when this is ready. And we're back. As you can see, it's nice and big and puffy, and it'll be quite easy for us to spread out. Ooh, that was more than I wanted. Going from underneath the dough and on top of the dough and spreading it out. You want to pop any really big air bubbles. Don't worry, those air bubbles will come back and create a nice open crumb structure in the final product. So I guess this bread does have quite a few steps, but it's kind of like set it and forget it. I gotta run to the store after this. I wanna do rosemary on top, so hopefully they have rosemary. But you can top this with anything. You can do those fancy focaccias you see on the internet with like onions and cherry tomatoes and whatever. We're going for family dinner at my mom's and she's making lasagna. I really enjoy a focaccia with a nice red sauce pasta. I'm just making sure there's no really big air pockets because this is gonna expand again. If you leave really big air pockets at this step, they'll get really, really big and leave really big holes in your final product. He's been doing that, I don't know if you could hear it. At this stage, you can put it in the fridge overnight and bake it off the next day. The final product will be more spongy and will have more of that sourdough acid taste because when you proof in the fridge, there's a higher production of acetic acid over lactic acid. And that's on bread theory. I'm just covering and then it'll take only about half an hour tops to proof this. Okay, see you again now. I am so upset. I went to go to the store and my car didn't start. And I've had issues with this car from the very beginning, like 2 or 3 days after I got it. It started having issues. It has not stopped having issues. My uncle has helped me fix it up. It's so hard to ask for help, and especially when something keeps being a problem. Anyways, I didn't go get rosemary, so we're just gonna use some Italian seasoning and some flaky salt. I could proof this a little bit more, like maybe another 15 or 20 minutes. We're adding more olive oil to the top, because yes, there's no olive oil in the actual dough, but we add a lot of olive oil throughout the process. I'm gonna rub some in my hands, and then this is the fun part, the classic focaccia part, where you just go in with your fingers, poke some holes, and then I usually give it a minute, and any really, really big bubbles, I pop. Going out last night and seeing people and being an adult for the first time in a long time, it kind of brought me back to myself in a lot of ways. And it reminded me the type of person and personality that I want to bring to this channel. And it's hard to bring that when I'm just on my own most days with Bubba. It was nice to get out and reintroduce myself to myself, basically. Editing and stuff is getting better, I think. I'm kind of developing a style. My audio sucks. I don't know, I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world. I wish I could just do the things that I want to do and then someone else would handle the rest. I know you're getting upset, honey. Okay, I'm gonna get this in the oven. I have it at 375, but you can go as high as 425 to bake it. It just depends on your oven and what you're comfortable doing. I don't want to set off my smoke alarm by having the oven too high. It's gonna bake for anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes, again, depending on your oven temperature. And then right when we come out of the oven, what we wanna do is scrape it up from the bottom and get it onto a cooling rack. If you wait too long, it will stick quite badly to the edges, especially if you don't have parchment or a lot of grease happening. So I would do it right away, right out of the oven. That's gonna be off camera, but I will come back later today probably for a taste test. Focaccia, friends, I'll see you again right now. I just pulled the focaccia out of the oven and it is underproofed. It's not horrible, this bread will still be good. You can't really go wrong with bread. Some of the ways that you can tell that this is underproofed is it didn't rise above pan level very much. When it's really perfectly proofed, it'll go maybe like half an inch higher than it is. The amount that it pulled away from the edges, which will make it easier to take out of the pan, but it is an indicator that it is slightly underproofed. I think it'll still be good. I usually cut it into strips like this. 1, 2, 3 cuts. So 3 cuts this way and 1 cut that way. And then you'll have 8 sandwich bread pieces. This recipe is really great for sandwiches. Highly, highly recommend. Anyways, I'm gonna get this out of the pan. No parchment underneath. You want the aeration and it'll help keep the crust crispy. I'm just cutting this into strips. I'm not gonna cut it all into strips, but I want like breadsticks. Maybe I'll do 1 more strip to bring to my mom's later. Here's the final product. As you can see, the crumb structure is quite dense on this. So if I would have proofed it more, all these bubbles would be bigger. And that's more what you're looking for. This is still good, and especially if you're turning it into sandwiches, this is actually a better texture for sandwiches. If you're serving it as a table bread, it's better if like the whole thing kind of looks like how this little section looks. I should have put him down for his nap and then baked it. It's hard being alone and trying to time this sort of thing. It still tastes good. When I used to make this in industry, I would always love eating the end pieces. It is still pretty good. Also, when you bake it at a higher temperature, the crust is like thinner and less chewy. The crust is quite chewy, baking it at 375. My oven runs cold, so that was probably closer to 355, 360. Next time I do it, I probably will just set the oven for 400. I'm a mess. This is the corner between kitchen and hallway. Horrendous wallpaper hallway. Anyways, if you watched this far to the end, thank you. I'll see you guys again in the next one. Peace.
It's an epic sandwich.